So you got a venture capital job. You emailed me a while after your graduation, shortly after graduation, and said, "Hey, Vince, I'm at a, and this is in the middle of the pandemic, or it's at the beginning of the pandemic, and you said I got a VC. I'm working at a VC, a venture capital firm in San Francisco, like from New York." And I was like, "Amazing, wow." So like, how did you do that? I guess 5 internships helped.
um, yeah, I think looking back, it definitely helped by connecting the dots. But at that time, yeah, I felt like you had to start from somewhere. And I know, from New York to San Francisco, from a traditional MBA program to Silicon Valley, it looks like a very huge jump.
And
But
also, your background, people don't know your resume. You were in IBD, right? You were in traditional finance, much more traditional
yeah,
finance sector.
yeah, I was in just a small correction. I was in corporate treasury division in Goldman Sachs. So
That's
the
right. It
the
was an
IB
IBD.
industry, yeah, yeah. And it was more the corporate treasury role within an investment bank. So that really makes it look like a very huge jump from my pre MBA career to a VC career in Silicon Valley. But I would say now looking back, although it's not like I got those internships and then my boss just referred me to the current fund or something like directly like that, but still they helped connect the dots in a way, like in a very small but meaningful way. And so that's actually one of my advices if I would give to people who are aspiring for VC or whichever career change you're looking for post MBA, is don't just trying to directly apply for or just like shoot for somewhere that look fancy. So for example, it's not like you without any VC experiences entering MBA and then you're like, now I got a top tier MBA program and now I am free to go into whichever firm that like. It's not like that. And we can talk about that later more, but even during MBA program and within just the same school, the competition is still very, very fierce. And just think about, like, for example, Columbia has over 700 people in the program. And I think Wharton and HBS have a much larger size. And think about those people. And so maybe 1/3 of people are all applying for IBD jobs. And then the other 1/3 are applying for consulting. So end of the day, the actual number of people who can get into those top tier firms, whichever, Goldman, McKinsey, Google, all those fancy names, are very, very, very small. So my point is, don't just directly shoot for the star, but have a plan and have a strategy. So for example, for my first in-semester internship in New York, how I got that, well, initially I heard that opportunity from a VC, our VC club. It was an email, just email blasted to everybody in the club. And I applied. And of course, there are a lot of people also applied. And luckily, because I was probably one of the first applicants who emailed the managing director there, and luckily she replied to me, but she, instead of giving me an interview opportunity, she said, I will take a look at your resume later, but nowadays I'm so swamped with organizing a demo day event. Do you have time to come as a volunteer just to help out? And I said, sure. So I just went there, and I didn't do anything, that looks fancy. I was a volunteer and I was just like there checking in people and, taking note of their name, doing those sort of things. But maybe because of that and because of that, very short period of working together with her. And then she came back a week or so later saying, hey, I found your background very interesting. Do you want to meet for an interview? And then after several interviews, I got that internship opportunity together with another classmate in my class, maybe out of I don't know, 50, 60, or even more applicants. So, and I think building on that experience, and then that now when I applied for my summer internship, full-time summer internship, then I had more stories to tell, because I could say I work with this portfolio companies, or I help with, the firm with this much of due diligence. So with that story, that definitely helped me getting into the door of the summer internship. And further, with the summer internship, that allowed me more exposure, more direct experiences that connect me to the final destination. So I definitely felt, you don't necessarily need 5 internships to get into a full-time VC job or whatever career that you are hoping for. But my point is, break that down and take small steps towards your final goal.
And is it the kind of thing where you take one step at a time, and then after you take one step, the next step kind of appears? Or do you have an image in your mind of 5 steps and they all sort of work out as you plan? Like, to what extent are you improvising, and to what extent are you following a path that you've laid out ahead of time?
Yeah, I think it might sounded like I planned that up front, and then it's more like a linear process I follow. But I think it's more like, now looking back, I could connect the dots. But at that time, I had no idea. I would just I'll grasp whatever opportunity that's in front of me. And even, for example, I had already 3, 4 internship opportunities, internship experiences, including like full-time summer internship with the VC fund and a startup. But even with that, for my full-time job post MBA or postgraduate, it was still a very tough process, to be honest. And a lot of VCs we only hire people who has VC experiences. It's kind of like a chicken and egg problem, but you still have to start from somewhere. So luckily, how I got this current job is, because I had the financial experiences in the financial services, and my internships and all, in both the investor side and the operator side, helped me tell a good story that I can empathize with the founders because of my operating experience in the startups, and also that showed my commitment into that particular fintech vertical to the interviewer. So I think all those put together and make that a compelling story in the end, and then the right fit for the current firm. But I don't know if I shared the stats with you, Vince, but I tracked down, I maintained a dashboard when I was recruiting, and I tracked down all the firms that applied, seriously applied, not just randomly dropping resumes, but the firms that seriously applied and followed up, there were 17. And out of that 17 firms that I really liked and I really wanted badly to get an interview, I only got, I think, 5 or 6 interviews from that 17 that I, diligently wrote whatever investment thesis, cover letter, followed up politely emails. All the 17, I got 5 or 6 interviews. And out of this 5 or 6 interviews, only 2 converted into offers. I would say 1.5, because the second one, for the second one, I withdrew from that application, although it went into pretty late stage. So as you can see, the stats is and I was rejected way more than the success. But end of the day, I felt it's about the grit. It's about you making improvements along the way. And eventually what you've done before and all your efforts you made before are meaningful, but you didn't know at that point. And but once you land the one that really ideal for you and that's really great great fit for you. And then like looking back, you know, what you've done all makes sense now.